Good morning, everyone. It is morning in America, and of course, good morning from Los Angeles. I am your host, Casey Phoenix, and this is my morning political thought or my political thought for today. ThePurpleElephantShow.com for the main podcasting platform for those who want to listen to the podcast. Before I go into that, let me just say that the RNC last night, the production value was amazing. It was ridiculously good. Um, so it was the production value was really good, and it had a lot of substance too. And they called out a lot of things that weren't mentioned in the other convention. So that was great. I enjoyed watching it. I enjoyed Herschel Walker. I enjoyed Tim Scott. I enjoyed Donald Trump Jr. Donald Trump Jr., that is probably one of the best speeches I've seen Donald Trump Jr. give, in my opinion. It's just my opinion, but that's one of the best speeches I've seen him give. But the production value was really, really good. And honestly, I didn't expect any less because the president has worked in production. He was executive producer on one of the top shows in TV for over a decade. So he might know a little something about production. I don't believe that somebody handled all of it and he didn't have any say. It wouldn't surprise me if he had most of the say when it comes to that, even though it was the RNC convention, and I'm sure Ronna McDaniel does a good job. I I'm pretty sure they ran almost everything by the president when it came to setting it up, how things would look and stuff like that. It wouldn't surprise me at all. Now, also, lots of weird things going on. And this is something else. It's just really on my mind. And before I go into my actual political thought, and I try to keep everything as concise as possible, it's just when something's on my mind, I usually have to say it. All of these things that are popping up during the RNC is what what's the saying? Once is a coincidence, twice is a pattern. And first is the thing with the mailboxes or whatever, which, as I mentioned before, over 10,000 mailboxes were removed during President Obama's administration. The other thing that's going on with Kellyanne Conway and her husband, which I'm not even going to dig into that, but that's happened now. Then this thing is going on with Jerry Falwell Jr. All of this stuff is just happening during the RNC. It couldn't have happened before. Same thing with Steve Bannon as well, right before the RNC. All of this. So that's Jerry Falwell, Kellyanne Conway, Steve Bannon, and I said something else. See, that goes to show my mind is like all over the place. But it's it's just crazy how all oh yeah, in the mailboxes. So that's four things that have happened during right before the RNC. And I just believe in that saying. Once is a coincidence, twice is a pattern. Something's not right, but whatever. My political thought is a story I heard about how someone votes. And I heard it on Rush Limbaugh weeks ago. And the individual lives in California, like I do. And he was talking to his friend about taxes and things like that because they were in San Francisco. And his friend was like, yeah, the taxes keep going up. And then his friend would complain about certain other policies in place. And for those who may not know, California has been fighting with Uber and Lyft because of that law they passed. I believe it was Assembly Bill 55. If I'm not mistaken, you can look it up. I'm pretty sure it's AB 55, where the Uber and Lyft drivers will no longer be 1099. They independent contractors, they would have to be actual employees. And because Uber and Lyft aren't really making a huge profit, to bring all of those drivers on as employees, it would cost a ridiculous amount of money and put them in debt. So they've been going back and forth. It was supposed to end on Thursday. I haven't checked the latest update on that, but there's been a tussle going on between Uber, Lyft, and the state of California. So it, this state is something else. It really, really is. But when the two people were talking, he was talking to his friend, and his friend was complaining about the taxes and this and that. And then he asked him, well, just, out of curiosity, who do you plan to vote for? Oh, I'm voting for Biden. Wait, what? I don't know why people continue to vote against themselves. Maybe it's marketing, because marketing is a powerful thing. Marketing is a powerful thing. Maybe it's marketing. And Republicans just need to do a better job of marketing, because you have people who are willing to vote against themselves. They're being taxed to the hilt. The policies are killing jobs, regulations killing jobs, but they continue to vote for the people who will raise the taxes and add more regulation. Because apparently the other side is the bad side. And it's the same thing with Kimberly Klacik. She's running for Congress in the Baltimore district. And Baltimore has been controlled by Democrats for decades. And by decades, I mean about 40 or 50 years. It's been controlled by Democrats. And Baltimore is riddled with crime. It's riddled with crime. Unemployment is horrible in Baltimore. The infrastructure is crumbling in Baltimore. Baltimore has one of the largest ports in the world. Baltimore has one of the largest ports in the world. And it's had all of these issues that have not helped black people. But black people continue to vote Democrat for whatever reason. I know that Kimberly Klacik had said she spoke to somebody who was voting Democrat, and she had asked if they had ever thought about voting Republican. And the person had told her, well, you're the first Republican that I've ever met. And how people vote just amazes me. With the president, I didn't vote for him because of anything that I felt would be against me. If I felt there would have been a ton of stuff against me, I wouldn't have voted for him. If I felt he was going to do more regulation or do more taxes or do this or do that, that would negatively affect the United States, I wouldn't have voted for him. Most of his agenda I agreed with. And once again, I believe it's more of a marketing thing, where people on the other side, Republican side, or even independent side, because there's more than two parties, for those who don't know. The majority is Republicans and Democrats, but there is an independent party. But maybe it's a thing where the Republican Party needs to do a stronger marketing push, not just during election season. It's not, oh, it's election season, let's get in front of people with the ads and everything else. Maybe Republicans should consider doing a constant marketing push every single day, meaning even after the election is over with, day one after the election, okay, let's get in front of more people. Let's show them what the policies are, even though the election is over with. Let's show them what the policies are. Let's show them that why these policies are better. And do that. I believe if Republicans did more of that, that would alter how some, not all, but how some people vote. Because with people not having all of the information, they're still comfortable voting against themselves with them not having all of the information. Even though the famous saying on the campaign trail with President Trump when he was talking to the black community, what the hell do you have to lose? For that person in San Francisco, it hasn't reached that level yet. I'm sure it's close. But if there were more information available for that person in San Francisco over a period of time, it would probably make it a little easier to consider other options. So I believe Republicans and independents and the Green Party, because we have a Green Party too, all of these other parties need to work on marketing to see if they can reach people and explain why this policy would be better. Me, I'm more of a capitalist. I prefer a hybrid, meaning a balance of capitalism, but not so much where a bunch of people get left behind in the whole win at all costs type thing. I don't believe in that. I believe there should be somewhat of a limit. Not too much of a limit, but somewhat of a limit. I believe in the free market. I believe that it should be encouraged, not discouraged. Regulation discourages. Less regulation encourages. So I want people who believe in certain things to still push those ideas after the election. Because once the election is over, people still need to know what ideas are out there. So when the next election comes along, they will be better informed and not under the haze or daze of other marketing sources that keeps them restrained when they could get ahead and have better policies enacted. Because of Democrats in California being able to pretty much do whatever, ballot harvesting is legal here. If there was a balance here, ballot harvesting would have never made it into the state of California. But because ballot harvesting made it here, California will possibly be blue for a very long time until it just collapses, which it more than likely will in 20 or 30 years or whatever, if the policies continue. Because if people continue to vote for these policies that are destroying the state of California, California will collapse. And on a federal level, I think the federal government should let it collapse. Just like President Trump was saying that he wasn't planning on bailing out the blue states pre the drama that happened, you know, beforehand. Because why should you reward bad policies? Before the drama happened worldwide, the bad policies had already left your state in debt and created issues with your state. Why should you reward bad policies? And I feel in order for California as a state to wake up, it needs to fall apart. So people can vote in better people. And it doesn't necessarily have to be Republicans. Maybe it could be more moderate Democrats. But people who realize you can't regulate companies to death, you can't tax people to death, you just can't do it. It doesn't work. It makes everything harder. That's why I won't open up another business in California. Because there's so much regulation that you have to go through just to do business in California. So it just amazes me on how people vote, and they walk around in this haze. And I think it's like if you walk into your apartment and one item is missing, let's say a chair is missing. It's like, and you don't notice it. Then you walk in, table's missing. Don't notice it. You walk in, your bed's missing. Walk in, every single thing. And by the time a year is passed, every single thing in the apartment is missing. And then you look around and say, wow, I think somebody robbed me. You think? That's kind of how I feel about how certain people vote in California. It's like this happens, that happens, that happens, but you still keep on walking around in this haze, voting for the same people with the bad policies. But after everything crumbles, then it's going to be like, wow, I voted for the wrong people all this time. That's what I think it's going to be for California. And when I heard that story about how that person was planning on voting, that's sort of the thing I think of. Same thing for black people too, and Democrats, especially in major cities. It's like this happened, that happened, that happened, that happened, but you're still voting Democrat. Just like with this defund the police. These Democrat cities could have enacted legislation on a local and state level to change the procedures of the police. Nothing had to be done on the federal level, which shows you they never cared. But you're still voting for them as if they do. And you're mad at the president as if he had something to do with it when the president deals with stuff on a federal level. He doesn't deal with stuff on a state and local level. Those are your state and local Democrats in your major cities that have the ability to change police policy. But they never changed it because they don't care. But you keep voting for them because the marketing out there is that all Republicans are bad. Anything besides Democrat is bad. And I just need to vote Democrat because they're the ones who care about me. But then these things keep happening. And then once it all crumbles, you're going to see, wow, maybe I should have voted for a more moderate choice. Or maybe I just should have voted for a different party altogether. So I want people, even after the election, to make an effort to get the information out on the policies and ideas that exist for their party outside of the Democratic Party. So, and that's all I got from my morning political thought. Thank you. I really appreciate it. The Purple Elephant Show is a weekend show. This past weekend, if you didn't check it out, I spoke about congratulations to Laura Loomer. I spoke about Steve Bannon. I spoke about, what else did I talk about last weekend? Oh yeah, politics and sports. No one wants politics in the things they love. So this past weekend, I discussed those things. You can check those out on thepurpleelephantshow.com or in the videos on YouTube or Daily Motion. Thank you again for listening and watching. If you like this, please like, share, subscribe. I appreciate your support more than you'll know. Be blessed.